something it likes. One of you.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Let's Talk. Thank you so much for joining us for another great movie review. My name is Dennis, and today, in honor of the news that recently came out about Jeepers Creepers 4 coming soon, I figured what better way to celebrate than reviewing the first 3 that came out. But before we dive into that, if you are a fan of movie reviews, 4K Blu-ray reviews, video game reviews, TV reviews, and tech reviews, we do them all here on the channel, and nothing shows your support more than if you hit that subscribe button. Now, with that out of the way, I figured let's dive right in to the first Jeepers Creepers. But before we do that again, I want to just say, not going to comment on what happened with the director. Everyone knows the stories. If you haven't heard the stories, you can Google it. But this channel is really more about the film, not about the drama surrounding the film or anything like that. So please, we don't need to comment on it. Don't need to talk about it. Research it if you want. We understand. But for this video's purpose, we are just looking at the film and the character of the Creeper. So with that out of the way, starting with Jeepers Creepers 1, the original. This did come out in 2001. And it was starring Justin Long as Derry and Gina Phillips as his sister Trish. They are on a road trip. They're heading home, going back to see their mom. It's been a long time since they've been there. And typical brother-sister stuff. They're arguing and bickering, and as they're driving, the stereotypical stuff happens. Oh, I think we're lost. No, it's a shortcut. Don't worry. We haven't seen the highway in so long, the whole thing. And, light spoilers ahead for all 3 movies. I don't want to go too deep into them, just in case you haven't seen it or you want to rewatch it and be surprised. Just kind of want to let you know a couple main points and maybe the ending of each because they carry over into each other. So again, they're on this road trip and then suddenly they think it's going to be this innocent, fun time. They are met by the Creeper, this fine gentleman. This story unfolds on this back, desolate highway where there's pretty much no other cars. Almost the entire movie, they're driving down this one. It's a 2-lane road, no other cars coming by, and the Creeper finds them. At first, he just blows past them in his truck, which I saw a funny meme about. People saying, how did this demon end up, 1, getting a truck registered so it can be on the road, and 2, get custom license plates because his license plate says, be eating you. But that's just a little funny moment in horror. You got to kind of unplug your mind. Not everything is very serious. I mean, obviously it's a demon killing people. So let's, unplug our brains and have some fun with it. So they think this first interaction with this big truck that kind of destroyed them was all that they had to worry about. But later on down the road, they do see the truck again and he dumps something down a tube. Now, Derry and Trish, they're concerned because it seemed like a body. So naturally, as in all horror movies, they go and they check it out. What a mistake, because they piss off the Creeper. And the Creeper basically pursues them the rest of this movie. Ultimately, he wants one person, and that person is Derry. There's something about Derry, Justin Long's character, that the Creeper loves. We'd find out it's fear. He kind of gets this scent of you, and if you're the most afraid, or he can sense that, and then that's who he hunts. So movie unfolds, and again, spoiler alert, in the end, the Creeper does win. He ends up getting Derry and disappearing into the night. But really, the main points I want to talk about is just how awesome the Creeper is. His makeup design, I'll be honest, when I first saw it, reminded me a little bit of The Haunted Mask, the original Goosebumps movie that came out. The girl with that green mask that gets stuck to her face. It's kind of like that mixed with a little bit of the Alien. He has like weird spines that come off the side of his face, and the more you see throughout the movie, the creepier he gets. It's just a very, very cool character, very unique, especially when you compare it to other kind of horror movie icons like Freddy, who's just, burnt guy, Jason, who is, superhuman, who drowned, but they're all people, Michael Myers, Leatherface, they're all regular people. The Creeper, his body type is like a person, but he is this all-powerful, he's got gigantic bat wings, he's this demon, this crazy killing machine. So that was really, really cool. And, that ultimately is what drew me into the first movie. And then that led straight into the second movie, which really just picks up right where the first one left off, because the Creeper is just still on the hunt. And if you don't know, basically the story behind the Creeper is every 23 years, he gets 23 days to hunt. So this is his hunting period. And this hunting period is used to basically regenerate his body or stock up on parts, because what we learn is that as he loses body parts, if he consumes them, he can regenerate. So if he loses an eyeball, he'll eat somebody's eye and he'll grow a new one. If he, loses a tongue, he'll eat somebody's tongue, regrow the tongue. So that's why he's hunting. And now in the second film, which came out in 2003, so only 2 years after the original, same director, totally different cast though, picks up right where, like I said, the first one left off. And it's a school bus full of kids from a basketball game and some cheerleaders. They're on their way home down this same stretch of desolate road that Darry and Trish were on, and their tire gets popped and they have nowhere to go. And the bus driver looks and finds this really, really cool, almost ninja star looking weapon, but it's made out of like teeth and bone. And then when they actually pick it up and look at it, the middle is sewn together by flesh. And it's actually Darry's belly button. We know this because of a tattoo we saw in the first film. So that was a cool little, callback to the first film. Very interesting. And then basically, how these films go. With a stranded bus, kids everywhere, the creeper is hunting. So he picks the kids off one by one. However, I do want to note in the beginning of this film, there's one of the coolest and kind of scariest scenes in the whole entire series so far. And that is when the creeper, because he dresses similar to, I'd say, The Undertaker from wrestling, if you're a wrestling fan out there. Long black trench coat, really big round black hat. And in the beginning of this film, he sits perched on a scarecrow stand with his arms out like this and his head down, and he's just standing there. And there's a family there. A young boy goes out. He's tasked with hanging all the other scarecrows up, and he gets abducted by the creeper. And that sows the seed for kind of the end of this film, because while this bus is under attack, that young boy's father and older brother are listening to CB radios to see if there are any other attacks. And they hear about this bus stranded. And then they hear the cops say, "Are you getting all these calls? People are saying that there's bats flying around and pulling people into the sky." And that's when the father and the son know that's where they have to go. So what do? What anyone would do, I guess, in this situation. They build a gigantic harpoon gun on the back of their truck, and they head right out there to hunt and kill this demon. In the end, they do actually end up harpooning him, pulling him down, and killing him, and they hang him in his barn. And it becomes kind of a sidecar attraction. People come to this barn and like, "Oh my God, that's the demon. Look at it. It's so shriveled. It's decrepit. It's dead." And the dad is sitting there in a wheelchair saying, "You just wait. Only a couple more years and he'll be back to feed." And then it ends. So it was pretty cool. And then that's kind of where the series ended for a long time. I mean, like I said, 2001 was the original, 2003 was the sequel, and it wasn't until 2017 that we got a third entry into this series. And this is one that I think missed the mark. I think the problem is too much time had passed. Still the same director, so the vision was the same, the character was the same, but I think if you're a Star Wars fan, you can kind of respect this next statement. They waited so long, and then they tried to do something of kind of a prequel, and it just did not work out. Jeepers Creepers 3 is actually, like I said in the beginning, kind of a 1.5. It really is not a third. When you actually look into it, it takes place in between the events that ended on the first movie and before the events of the second movie. So it really was shoehorned in there kind of awkwardly. So that really hurt the film right from the get-go, because so many years have passed. And instead of doing a new story of like, he's back again 23 years later, they decided, let's just make something in the middle of the first two. Or it was released in 2017, took place in the same exact place again, this kind of desolate stretch of highway. This one was a big time flop, in my opinion. The only thing that really kept it going for me was the creeper is incredible. Always on camera, his presence is great. He toys with his victims. He really likes to play games. There's a scene where he wipes blood off a window and then just peeks one eye out, just like this up here, before breaking it and killing people. He really is kind of this just magical being that you don't know anything about. And I think that's part of it. You know, it's like the Joker. The reason the Joker is so scary and he was so effective as a villain is because no matter how much you researched him, you couldn't find anything. You never knew what this thing was. He was just reckless, on the loose, no one could figure him out, and that's what the Creeper was. But then this film came along, and they kind of ruined the whole thing. It basically just comes out that the hand of a creeper was buried somewhere, and he's coming for it, and a woman picks it up. When she holds the hand, it gives her visions of where the creeper comes from and what he is, and that kind of comes back up later when the creeper returns to the house. She puts a sign on the door that says, "I know what you are." And he screams out like he's lost and he's so devastated that they know what he is. Kind of stupid, didn't really make a lot of sense. Like, who cares if you know what he is? People can assume, you know, and at the end of the day, knowing what he is isn't going to kill him. He's still going to be able to kill everyone in the film. So that kind of took me out of it. And then another thing they did was they took his truck. This really, really cool, it's like a rundown farm truck. And in the first two movies, it really just had this horn that was obnoxious. It was really just creepy. But now in this third one, they made it supernatural. It shot spears out with chains connected. Like, it was just ridiculous. It became this whole nother being where now the truck is a demon and can kill people by itself. And the creeper doesn't even need to be there because the truck is an entity all of its own. And like I said, with all the origin stuff that was half-heartedly explained, and it just missed the mark. The only thing that was cool about it really was, like I said, the creeper. And in the end, there's a character who climbs on a bus to go to a basketball game. And that's the bus from the second movie. So that does kind of bring it all full circle. And then also little, cameo by Gina Phillips returning as Trish, where she does actually read kind of like an open letter, kind of begging people, pleading with them, when this thing returns, we need to band together. We need to kill it. It will be back, and we all need to be ready to kill it. So that was kind of cool. Hopefully that plays into the fourth one. But again, being that this third one kind of landed in between the first two, I don't know how much of that's going to really translate. So overall, honestly, guys, without spoiling, like I said, I just want to give a couple key points. Rating these movies, the first Jeepers Creepers, honestly, I got to go 8 out of 10, I think. It's so good. I really love it. There's a couple things. It's kind of it seems like a low budget film. I don't actually know what the budget was, but it is really, really great. And the creeper is just awesome. And then in terms of Jeepers Creepers 2, might be an unpopular opinion, but I got to give it a 7 out of 10 probably. It's slightly less good than the first one, but to be honest, it's still great. The creeper gets to shine a little bit more, in my opinion, in the second one, which is awesome. It's kind of his coming out party. We see a lot more of him. He plays a lot more games in it. It's really, really just a solid movie. And then in terms of the third, I'm just going to follow my pattern of dropping 1 point each time. And the third one, I'll give a 6 out of 10. It's not a terrible movie. If you like the creeper, you'll probably like the third. It's fine. It's just, if you want to watch any of them, I'd recommend the first two. The third is okay. It's okay. If you just want to see more of the creeper, check it out. It's great. But it's not really going to blow your socks off. So there you have it. Those are my opinions on the first three. I'd love to hear from you guys too if you have any opinions. If you know of anyone who loves these movies, maybe you love them, maybe you hate them, I don't know, but use the comments below, let us know, let me know what you think. I know my opinion isn't the law. I'm excited to have these conversations. I'm curious what other people think too, because I really do enjoy these films. I think he's a great character, and I'm super excited about the fourth one coming out. So, like I said, let us know in the comments below if you love it, if you hate it, if you're excited for the fourth or not. Just let's open that conversation. I'm curious what you guys think. And as always, thank you for joining us here on Let's Talk. And if you haven't already, please do hit the subscribe button. And don't forget to tell all your friends.